Honorable Senators, the CS is here. Cabinet Secretary for Investments, Trade and Industry. Bwana Waziri, karibu to the Senate. We will go straight to the question by Senator Professor Ojenda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will proceed to ask question number 24 to the CS Investment, Trade and Industry. Part A, could the Cabinet Secretary provide details on the forms of support the Ministry extends to county governments to build capacity for sustainable market management and to ensure uninterrupted operations in key markets, and explain how the Ministry mentors the effectiveness of such support? Part B, what oversight mechanisms exist to facilitate national government intervention whenever recommendations for operational improvements are not implemented fully and promptly, or whenever county-level decisions are adversely impact local economic activity? And could the CS provide details on how, in instance, where such mechanisms were invoked? Lastly, Mr. Speaker, what proactive strategies is the Ministry implementing to ensure the continuity of market operations, promote economic resilience, and protect traders' livelihoods, particularly in high-volume trading hubs across the country? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Cabinet Secretary, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me begin by expressing my gratitude to you and the honorable senators for the opportunity extended to the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry concerning the national government support towards sustainable market management in the counties. Mr. Speaker, in line with the letter dated 4th of March 2026, reference number Senate 4SCOR 17, dated 24th, allow me to proceed and make submissions in respect to the above issues raised by Senator Professor Tom Ojenda. A, could the Minister provide the details on forms of support the Ministry extends to county governments to build capacity for sustainable market management and ensure uninterrupted operations in key markets, and also explain how the Ministry monitors the effectiveness of such support? So the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry provides technical and institutional support to county governments to strengthen sustainable market management and ensure uninterrupted operations in key markets. Our key form of support include: 1, providing business development services. This is in the form of market intelligence and advisory services to support market operations, micro, small, and medium enterprise. Mr. Speaker, this is informed by the fact that the most important part in the citation of a market is actually information on where people want to trade, what they want to trade, at what price, what is going on, where is there a deficit, and all this provides useful information that the county governments can be able to use, including understanding matters to do with packaging, food processing, consumer trends, and others. The second one is supporting capacity building through institutions such as the Kenya Industrial Research and Development Institute, which conducts feasibility studies, market assessment, technology need assessment, and enterprise development training. These initiatives help county governments improve efficiency in the management of local trading spaces. Mr. Chairman, allow me to say that whenever an entrepreneur or any business person wants to set up any business, we offer specific training, whether you want to do soap making so that you can avail the soap into the market. And every month we are training young people on how they can be able to process. And I think counties have an opportunity to be able to facilitate so that in our markets, we not only have raw materials, but also processed or semi-processed products. And we can be able to tailor-make some of this training to suit the needs of individual counties. If it's a pastoralist county, then we'll be able to work along that. If it's a fish-dominated economy, we can also be able to align our training to support the predominant economic activity. 3 is that the ministry, in collaboration with the State Department of Housing, developed policy guidelines for the development and management of markets. The State Department for Housing is monitoring the implementation of the guidelines in collaboration with county governments. Mr. Speaker, as you may be aware, we have markets being developed across the entire country, and these are meant to offer decent housing for business people and traders so that they can be able to have a place where they can trade their goods. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, is to also give them an opportunity to participate in dignified trade. It will be recalled that a good number of our Juakali business people work by the roadside. They have to face the sun until late in the evening. Their wares are exposed to the sun, and you can imagine if they are perishables like tomatoes, then it means that the post-harvest loss becomes very high. So in the markets that the government is currently building, our main target is to give dignity and honor to trade, while at the same time reducing the post-harvest losses. The ministry is collaborating with county governments in developing infrastructure such as the county aggregation and industrial parks that provide facilities for aggregation, processing, storage and marketing of agricultural produce. For KIPES and other market support initiatives, the ministry is keen in undertaking baseline studies and market assessments, and as well as periodic progress reviews and field monitoring. Mr. Speaker, we have counties, about 17 counties that have signed to the KIPE, and I want to confirm that some of them have developed very well and are almost at the tail end. And in line with this, we have about 5 that are due to be commissioned, and His Excellency the President will be launching some of them from the month of June. And we invite the Senate to participate in this, because this is a groundbreaking initiative that is going to bring value addition closer to the people. And the idea behind the KIPES is to make aggregation possible, so that if it's an avocado or macadamia growing area, we can have a place where they can all be brought together, graded, packed, stored, and also buyers can have a one-stop place where they can buy. More importantly, Mr. Speaker, is that we are also working to align with financial institutions, with buyers, to ensure that there's a seamless flow of commodities into our markets. We also have an intervention on policy and regulatory support, and through the State Department for Trade, we formulate and review domestic trade policies in collaboration with county governments, supporting counties with market planning, legal and regulatory framework, and advisory on sustainable trade practices. So from time to time, when a county seeks the support of our ministry, we are able to provide support and on the regulatory framework, advisory on sustainable markets, and basically all other issues relating to the market. Through the Kenya Bureau of Standards, Weights and Measures, and the Kenya National Trading Corporation, the ministry promotes standards, packaging, quality control, weighing and measuring of products, and distribution systems of essential products to improve market competitiveness. The ministry also works with counties to stimulate investment and business activity in markets by promoting value addition and branding, linking county enterprises, that's the MSMEs, to domestic and international markets. Mr. Speaker, allow me to say that the Kenya Bureau of Standards is an extremely important entity in ensuring that the commodities that are sold conform to the standards set for the country. Weights and measures allows us to confirm that when we are talking of a kg of maize or rice, it is indeed a kg. And Mr. Speaker, all these are facilitative support we give to the counties. The ministry also coordinates with various state corporations, such as the Warehouse Receipting System, the Kenya Export Promotion and the Branding Agency, KEPROBA, and the Kenya National Trading Corporation. And collaborating with development partners to support counties through trade promotion programs, market development initiatives, access to trade information, and export opportunities. The multi-agency approach ensures that counties receive a comprehensive support for market sustainability. And Mr. Speaker, allow me to say that all this multi-agency approach is brought together through my ministry to ensure that all the problems relating to our markets are solved. And on the invitation of any county government that wants support, even a clinic to ensure that we sensitize them, we are always available. The Warehouse Receipt System, established under the WRS Act of 2019, supports the ministry in strengthening sustainable agricultural market systems and enhancing the capacity of county governments to ensure efficient and uninterrupted operations of key commodity markets through capacity building and technical assistance, certification, licensing, and regulation of warehouse operators, development of structured agricultural markets, policy guidance and regulatory frameworks, and undertaking monitoring and evaluation for effectiveness, among others. Further, Mr. Speaker, the joint national county coordination mechanisms, the ministry engages county governments through intergovernmental trade forums and technical committees. These platforms allow the ministry to access and review trade and market programs to address implementation challenges and align national and county initiatives. The ministry, through its domestic trade function, monitors the impact of trade policies and practices on domestic trade, including markets. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, secondly, is the question by the Honorable Senator was, what oversight mechanisms exist to facilitate national government intervention whenever recommendations for operational improvements are not implemented, and promptly or whenever county government decisions are adversely impacting local economic activities? And could the Cabinet Secretary provide details of any instance where that has happened? The existing key oversight mechanisms that facilitate the national government intervention whenever recommendations for operational interventions are not implemented, fully and implemented, include the following. One is the Investment, Trade and Industry Sector Intergovernmental Coordination Framework. In collaboration with the Council of Governors, the ministry has finalized development and is soon launching the Investment, Trade and Industry Sector Intergovernmental Coordination Framework. The Trade IGCF is a structured, co-owned platform anchored in the Constitution, Article 6, 2, 10, 174, 175, and 189, the Intergovernmental Relations Act of 2012, and the principles of subsidiary mutual accountability and cooperative governance. Further, the framework provides an important foundation for strengthening collaboration between the national and county governments in the investment, trade, and industry sector. The frameworks focus on coordination, consultation, and information sharing in timely and aligned manner with the constitutional objectives and economic development priorities. Further, the framework is yet to be formally inaugurated and endorsed for us to proceed to the next steps, but at least for planning, Mr. Speaker, that has already been done. Secondly is on policy and regulatory oversight. The national government develops national trade and economic policies, sets standards and regulations, provides guidelines for county governments, and for instance, the national trade policy, the national trade standards, consumer protection laws, weights and measures, regulations for counties, and many others. C, Mr. Speaker, is what proactive strategies is the ministry implementing to ensure the continuity of market operations, promote economic resilience, and protect traders' livelihoods, particularly in high-volume trading hubs across the country. The first one is through the Kenya National Trading Corporation as the anchor of state initiatives to create a price stabilization for essential products. And to this end, we address the rise in the cost of living, and the cabinet approved a framework to position the Kenya National Trading Corporation as the anchor of state initiatives to create a price stabilizer for essential products. As such, KNTC, as a trading company, has always supplemented other state initiatives by creating strategic reserves for staple and essential food items. Vital farm inputs, including fertilizer and any other goods necessary for ensuring stability in the prices of core goods consumed in the country. Mr. Speaker, it will be remembered that in areas such as Moya, where we produce rice, we have been having a program to buy from the farmers, and this has been very useful in helping us to create stability. Secondly is modernization of wholesale and retail markets across the country. The ministry is working with the national and county governments to develop and modernize wholesale and retail markets across the country. This will ensure smooth market operations and accommodate growing trade populations. This is through identification of areas where new markets can be constructed and also expanding the existing ones. Mr. Speaker, one important matter around the modernization of markets and creating dignity around the trading community is that when you have businesses or traders who are mobile and therefore they don't have a particular station where you can find them tomorrow, it becomes difficult for financial institutions to be able to support them. But when you localize them and you can be able to give their specific address, we have found that even financial institutions are ready to come. And we believe that through this modernization, we will create dignity, we will create growth and employment, Mr. Speaker. Third is integration of markets with the county aggregation and industrial parks to link production with trading centers. This will reduce congestion in major hubs such as Gikomba, Isili, and Kamkunji, and it will also improve on storage, distribution, and logistics for traders. I have already mentioned about KIPES, and again, I want to say that this is going to be a big game changer in terms of even sourcing. And one of the areas we are trying to work on is availability of information at the national level. So if you have a company that wants to source groundnuts or avocado or macadamia, when you have the information at the national level, we can be able to direct them to the specific counties where they can be able to find that. And this is because of the realization that the information gap is very big, that there will be a huge demand on one end and a surplus on the other, but because the two people are not connected, they do not get to benefit from that market situation. And therefore, the use of IT is going to come in very handy. Route to market strategy, Mr. Speaker, the ministry has undertaken route to market studies, a strategy meant to strengthen market access and ensure trade continuity. This will also expand opportunity for traders beyond local markets and also strengthen supply chains and export readiness. Mr. Speaker, this study is particularly important because a good number of Kenyans will engage in the production or growth of a particular product and then look for the market later. We strongly believe that a market-driven approach is very useful, where you identify the market, then you come back and you reverse and now plant or engage in the production of the commodities where the market is going to be. And that cannot be made when we don't have sufficient information on what the market needs. So this route to market strategy is very important, and every county has its own unique circumstances. So we must align it to the counties, and also more importantly, to ensure that the actual business people know what is required in terms of standards, quantities, and so on. Trade facilitation and regulatory harmonization. The ministry is working towards harmonization of trade regulations and standards to reduce barriers that affect traders. Simplification of business licensing, coordination and other state agencies to address trade issues such as counterfeits, taxation, customs, and import procedures affecting traders. This will protect traders from unfair competition and ensure compliance and quality with quality and safety standards. Mr. Speaker, on trade facilitation and regulatory harmonization, I want to confirm that a number of our products are actually on sale even across the border. In my own home county, we produce a lot of carrots that are actually sold in Kampala, and therefore to ensure that our traders are able to harvest from Mount Narok and transport all the way to Kampala and Dar es Salaam and other markets is a responsibility that we share with the counties. And just to also confirm that there are deficits even within markets in the larger East Africa, including places as far as Djibouti, Addis Ababa, and therefore when we give this information to our traders, instead of selling their products at a throwaway price, they can be able to connect, and we are able to reduce the cross-border challenge or bureaucracy that would otherwise intimidate them. Also, connecting them with the markets helps us to deal with the logistics so that they can come together, build the necessary volumes, and seek partnerships with the markets across the border. On prioritization and protection of MSMEs, the ministry prioritizes inclusion and protection of MSMEs operating in high volume markets through giving support such as access to trade finance through our financial institutions, but also through government interventions, including through KDC, among others, and also business advisory services, noting that not all of them may have the necessary knowledge, especially in engaging in formal business. And that information gap sometimes has been a hindrance. So we need to provide the necessary advisory services so that even as they engage banks, markets within and also outside the country, they have all the knowledge required. We also do training on standards, packaging and market requirements. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, is that the ministry is equally facilitating the formation of producer and trader business groups to strengthen bargaining power. So taking 1 ton of carrots all the way to Kampala may not be economically viable. So we need to find a way of bringing them together, benefiting from the economies of trade, and also being able to help them to negotiate, because at the international level, we also need some of these skills that are necessary. Mr. Speaker, we also have initiatives by the warehouse receipting system. The key strategies undertaken by the ministry through the Warehouse Receipt System Council include expansion of the warehouse receipt system, expanding the network of certified warehouse operators across key agricultural producing regions to support structured commodity trading. And just to clarify on warehouse receipting, we are trying to deal with the previous situation where farmers are forced to sell their produce in duress because they need money urgently. The markets may not be favorable at that particular moment, and they need money to meet their bills. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, through this warehouse receipting system, government has licensed a number of warehouse receipt operators. And when you take your produce there, you get a document that is bankable. And you can hold this document. It is one that banks are also ready to cash. And we believe this is a game changer, especially for commodities that are not perishable. In other words, they can stay for a month or two. And through this, Mr. Speaker, if a farmer or a trader can get 30 or 40% of the value, then he can be able to meet his immediate needs. And in the long run, they will not have sold their produce under desperation. The image and desperation arising from perishable commodities and lack of market solutions should not be allowed to go on. And we believe that this is one of those systems that deserve the support of all of us. Mr. Speaker, allow me to go on the issue of promotion of structured agricultural markets and reduction of post-harvest losses through certification and regulation of warehouses and strengthening market access and financing through linkages between farmers, traders, financial institutions, and commodity buyers is one very important thing, Mr. Speaker. So when the farmer grows a commodity and they have no idea where to sell it, then we have a big problem. When you have no financial institutions to support, as we await for the product to be sold, then another problem comes in. So the ministry comes and provides that. So digitization and market transparency are key instruments that can help us to have information across and also to create transparency so that a farmer does not end up getting the least while other players who have come in between get everything. And I think protection of the producer is extremely important so that they can produce more in days to come. The Council operates through the use of electronic warehouse receipt system for tracking commodity deposits, withdrawals, and transactions. This enhances transparency, improves market information flow, and strengthens confidence among market participants. Mr. Speaker, one of the known trends, especially in agriculture, is that when people produce wholeheartedly a commodity, hoping to make a lot of money, and they don't succeed in making money at that particular time, in the next season, they tend to reduce because of the dented confidence in the market. So if we are able to have a continuous support for farmers so that they can have access to the market, then we will be able to up production across the board. Lastly is on strategic partnerships and stakeholder coordination. Through the warehouse receipt systems, we do collaboration with county governments, farmer cooperatives, financial institutions, and development partners to strengthen aggregation, storage, and market infrastructure. These partnerships enhance the resilience of agricultural markets and protect the livelihoods of traders and producers across the country. I submit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. Professor Ugenda, do you have a supplementary question?
Speaker, I have one supplementary question that arises from Part A of the questions that I asked the CS. CS, at response number 4, you state that the CAIPs, or County Aggregation and Industrial Parks, so far, 5 out of the 17 have been completed. That rounds off to 29% completion rate. Please explain to us, Waziri, why the status of the other 12 KIPES that the national government partnered with the county governments to fund, and why the other 12 are not complete, or their current status. You have also stated that KIPES is meant to provide facilities for aggregation, of processing and marketing agricultural produce and all that. You then refer to your county, Nakuru, I suppose, as manufacturing carrots. I think carrots are grown, Waziri. Thank you.
Cabinet Secretary, you can respond to Ujenda's supplementary question.
Thank you, Professor. I think the point, Mr. Speaker, is that 5 of the 17 are ready for commissioning, and we'll be able to share those states. Some of them include Meru, Kirinyaga, and I think they are a good case study of how government can be able to align and with the market and also provide a solution. So it does not mean the others are not complete. They are at various stages of completion. And just for information, the KIPES were a joint effort between the national government and the county governments. What I would want to state at this point is that the government has provided 100% of all the funds for the 17, and the counties were to provide the balance. But, Mr. Speaker, a similar question has been asked before the Senate, and we'll be able to provide a detailed answer on this issue regarding where each particular KIPE is, what the government has disbursed, and maybe the way forward. But the lessons that we have learned over time will also be very important moving forward. With respect to the carrots, I did mention that the KIPE stands for County Aggregation. And aggregation simply means bringing the different farmers and producers together, packaging. So I think we need to review our understanding of manufacturing. Really, at the KIPES level, what you're looking at is value addition, packaging, sorting, and all that. Because as we said, in a county that produces, say, avocado or macadamia, a farmer will be doing half a ton, another and a quarter a ton, but we need a center where they can all come, they are graded, they are packaged, and then now that makes it easy even for buyers to know that I want 20 tons, I go to Kirinyaga or Embu and so on. So the idea is to create mini or cottage industries there. And just for your information, we are also introducing cold rooms. So for example, in a county like Nyanza or Migori and many others that are in the fish space, which is perishable, we know that farmers or fishermen for that matter, whenever they catch their fish, they are desperate because there's nowhere to store their fish. So through these KIPES, we can be able to manage the market, because you can have your produce, have it for 2-3 days or a week before the market regulates itself. In the areas where we do other commodities such as vegetables like Meru, we have a fully functional cold room which can be run by a cooperative. So instead of you throwing your produce to the market when the prices don't allow, you can go store it for a week or a month, and then you can bring it. So indeed, it may not be the hardcore manufacturing that we have, but in a way, it is part of the agro-processing that is necessary to help our farmers to add value. And we have found that with very minimal processing, you are able to double or even sometimes triple the value. And I think this is really where we are going. And also to encourage, instead of selling the potato, maybe you can do the crisps. Instead of selling just carrots, you can be able to package them in long life and they can stay for a month and so on. So I think this is a conversation we want to have with our cooperatives, with our farmers and our business people, and to say that the opportunity is with us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank you for schooling Professor Senior Counsel Ojenda on the meaning of aggregation. Senator Boni Kalwale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to congratulate the Minister. Not many members in this House will know that he was my colleague in Parliament in 2002 to 2013. Yes, now they know, especially junior people like Kinyanjui here. Mr. Speaker, before I raise my question, I would like to draw the attention of the Minister to the provision of the Constitution of Kenya, 4th schedule, that divides functions between the national and the county governments. And Article 187. In 4th schedule, Minister, the function of markets falls squarely with county governments. And in 187, the Constitution goes further and tells you in subsection 2 that if a function or power is transferred from one government to one level to another government at the other level, B, constitutional responsibility for the performance of that function or exercise of power shall remain within the government to which it is assigned by the 4th schedule. Now, we have seen as legislators that the national government, your ministry, and the office of the president, and the president himself, have taken the lead role in this particular exercise, especially KIPES, and to a large extent, most of the markets in the country. Could you explain why the cabinet is not abiding by the Constitution, is attempting to take away function that has been given to county governments? And yourself, you've been a very successful governor in Nakuru. You've just told us that the president is inviting us to join them when he'll be launching other such functions. Why do you want us to come to be witnesses when you're breaching the Constitution of Kenya? Finally, but not least.
Senator Kalwale only allowed one supplementary question.
Yes, it is the same question, but
in a different format.
It's the same question, Mr. Speaker.
The same question, that question has been
the
well
same
understood.
Question. That was A of that question. Now I'm going to
B will be a second question. Senator Boni Kalwale.
Mr. Speaker, most obliged.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Eddie Okech.
Mr. Speaker, I'll be straightforward to the Minister because he has mentioned a number of areas that concern me in Migori County, and I want to just condense it into the issue of market access, particularly on 2 commodities that you've mentioned expressly, maybe by passing, but not specifically going to how they are currently manifesting in Migori County. Waziri, the first commodity that I wanted you to make clarity about how your government is supporting market access is the issue that you just mentioned on cottage industries on potatoes. In Getonganya, that is in Mabera, there is 100-ton daily production potential for a potato factory that was placed there by European Union and partly by your government that is not functioning, and 6,500 farmers are experiencing serious losses because of middlemen in Kuria, and they are producing this potato that you are talking about very well, that they should make 2 crips, but this has been a pipe dream that has not happened for the last 5 years. Could you please give us a status report on that particular commodity, the potato in Getonganya in Kuria West constituency? And then the last commodity that you have also touched but has continued wallowing in Migori County is actually gold, which is very, very important in the country. And Mr. Speaker, the ministry that would think about helping our artisanal farmers, or rather miners, technically, has been doing it very well, which is the Ministry of Mining, in terms of just providing the technical and the support that is needed to some extent. But for this particular ministry, Waziri, I wanted you to give us a status report in terms of how are you supporting Migori miners, be it in Kiancha, be it in Masara, be it in Nyatike, in terms of centralized and value addition when you think about issues around establishing a joint refinery as well as centralized export systems, which you have indicated will be very key in terms of cottaging this particular area, so that the gold price in Migori County is also not left to middlemen, and they're not making money out of it, yet most of them are artisanal miners and don't have capacity to access better markets and better infrastructure to be able to make money out of their sweat in the gold mines. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Mariam Sheikh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my question is, first I have to thank the CS and there's 13 county project which has been flagged out as under the KIPE, and among them is Mandera. And as the CS alluded, that most of these projects status is not known. Now, we as the House, let him report the status of all the projects which are there. But my question is CS aware that most of these projects which has been completed as KIPE, it is not in use? One, because of some essential things like water, electricity, and the role accessibility to the market. So what is the way forward, and what is the measure that this market which has been completed can be used? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Mariam. You do realize that the county governments also have a role to play, but we'll allow the CS to reply. Senator Siango.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the response to the questions, the primary question, the CS mentioned that the ministry helps county SMEs by linking to domestic and international markets. Can the CS give examples of county and SMEs that they have linked to international markets and the success rate of this initiative? And as a response to that, Mr. Speaker, in Kitui County we produce a lot of dengue. I would like to know the strategy the ministry is using for value addition and marketing of dengue from Kitui and other dengue growing counties. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Maybe we can allow the CS to answer the 4 supplementary questions, and then we take another 4. Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to start with the questions as raised by the Honorable Kalwale, and indeed to confirm that we were together in the 10th Parliament. So the first is the responsibility of markets lies with the county governments. I think that's correct, and it's well articulated in the Constitution. But we must also agree that there's that which the counties have been able to achieve, and whenever county governments come forward and seek support in delivery of a particular function, they can enter into an agreement with the national government, which is the case in the market scenario. So when we say that the markets are complete and we will be doing the commissioning, this is in collaboration with the county governments. In fact, the governors have written to us, we are now complete, and we would want to launch these markets. And because the national government has contributed half, while the county governments have contributed half, then we also have a responsibility to ensure that the resources put by the national government are actually put into good use, are complete, and more important, Mr. Speaker, to appreciate that although there are these very hardline distinctions between national and county governments, to the ordinary mwananchi, what they want is service delivery. And there are many components within the KIPE that are delivered by the national government. For example, power. You know, also we have issues to do with water, issues to do with roads. Because again, if you come up with a market that is logistically inaccessible, even if it is a county function and you require a national road to access there. So we have found out within our first phase of the KIPE implementation that there are many things we had not looked at that involve both national and county governments. And in our second phase of the implementation of the KIPEs, we will be looking to incorporate some of the lessons we have learned. Like, for example, we allocated 500 million to all the KIPEs, irrespective of what services you already have, because there are certain KIPEs where power was already there, the roads were already there, the sewer system is there. How would you compare that with one where none of those facilities were there, including even any other that would require you to access? So, Mr. Speaker, it is not possible to have one number for all of them, and I think these are some of the lessons that we have learned in the course of this discussion. So the invitation by the national government is in collaboration with county, and the responsibility of my ministry is to ensure that government resources are used well, and indeed there's no wastage on public resources. Mr. Speaker, allow me to go to Migori West, and the Honorable Member has alluded that we have a nearly 100-ton potato potential. And I think maybe the first thing to say is that we must diversify our definition of what food security is. I think for the longest period, food security was equal to maize. So if we didn't have sufficient maize, then we were food insecure. Yet, much of the potatoes from Migori, parts of Kisii, Nyandarua, Nakuru, and many other of these places have excess potatoes. But working together with the Ministry of Agriculture, we are trying to deal with one market challenge that we have. The varieties that are grown in most of our areas are varieties that have a very short shelf life. So after harvesting in the next 2 to 3 weeks, they will not be able to last beyond the 2-3 weeks. Therefore, the farmers are always desperate. There are other varieties that have been introduced in the market. They may be slightly expensive, but they are more productive, they are more resilient, and can be used for specialized markets, including some of the big international franchises we have, including KFC. So I think what we really need to do is, one, to help our farmers to grow the right varieties, connect them through contract farming to some of these big international companies. And one of the things we have tried to do is to ensure that, unlike in the past where potatoes and oranges would be imported, we are now trying to understand which varieties that need to be grown and how we can connect them to the markets. Mr. Speaker, allow me to say that in my conversations with some of the manufacturers in the area of potatoes, we are still importing potato paste from Egypt because it is required as a critical ingredient in making the tomato paste. So what we are trying to work on now is to get that particular tomato that would be grown in some of our areas across the country, link them with the farmers, and together we can work together. In the case of Migori, Mr. Speaker, we are also trying to encourage business people to realize the potential in our counties. Migori is an extremely rich county with gold, food, access even to our neighboring countries. So the biggest drive is really to ensure that the capital we find in the big cities can also be channeled there. And through that, Mr. Speaker, we have organized several business forums, including one we had in Nyanza in 2013 that brought about, I think, 5 of the counties, but we would be glad to also do Migori specific. On the artisanal miners, Mr. Speaker.
Just a moment, Cabinet Secretary. What is your
point of intervention? Is on a statement by the CS. Mr. CS, please clarify how potatoes can be used to make tomatoes.
tomato?
that potato paste
Senator
is used to make.
Ojienda,
Are we-
I can
Mr.
reply to
Speaker,
that. You were
are we-
not
are we
paying attention.
We are dealing with counterfeit. Is the CS saying that Kenyans are using potatoes as tomatoes?
No. Senator Ojienda. Yes, Senator Kinyo.
Mr. Speaker, we are concentrating and we are following what the Cabinet Secretary is saying. We are following what the Cabinet Secretary is saying, but I am sure the good professor is busy on his phone getting instructions from Mr. Speaker, you know from who. So please allow us to listen to the Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you, Senator Professor. I agree with Senator Kinyo. You did not listen to what the CS was saying. Can I answer for the CS? It was very clear. He said potato paste is a requirement in making tomato paste. So we are importing tomato paste from Egypt.
Paste.
No.
So are we selling tomato paste?
It's part of the ingredients.
Potatoes for tomatoes?
No. Potato paste. Base ingredient, exactly. Thank you, Senator Mtata. Professor will school you after the class, after the Senate session. CS, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just for the benefit of my good professor, I think all we are trying to say is that there are gaps in the market, and our role is actually to connect those market gaps and tell our farmers. So that if it's potatoes, we get the right potatoes that the industry is asking for. Tomatoes, the same. And just for clarity, in some of the countries, including Thailand and others, they don't use products such as cassava for eating. These are products that can be used as a base in pharmaceuticals. And that's why we want to take even our potatoes and all the others. So I think we just want to say that we want to bring value addition so that we can move forward. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, allow me to go to the honorable member on Migori West. There's a specific question on a refinery for our miners. And one of the biggest challenges we continue to face in Africa and in Kenya in particular is that we have not developed the necessary infrastructure, both to do the testing and more importantly, also refining. So we end up having our minerals being sold to the big markets, and we fetch maybe 30–40% of their true value. So one of the things that Kenya is trying to position itself is to be the refining hub for the region, not just for the country, but the entire region from DRC, Uganda, and all the others. And as you may have heard the speech by the president in Tanzania, these were some of the conversations that we would want to entrench. There will be huge opportunity, given the gold reserves that we have found, the rare minerals that have also been identified in Kenya, and working together with the Ministry of Mining, we will be able to come up with this area as one area where we can put our technology, our people, and also the financing necessary to create. And Kenya recently joined the prestigious group of countries that are recognized in mining. So I think we now need to move from the artisanal mining category to professional and large-scale mining. And I think this is going to be a game changer, Mr. Speaker. So lastly, Mr. Speaker, there was a question on the status, the Honorable Mariam, on the status of markets as being unknown. It is not unknown. I only said that a specific question on the status of KIPES has already been presented to us from the Senate. And we are waiting for the right date so that we can present it together with all the evidence required, and together we can be able to fill the gaps. But more importantly, is that every so often we are learning a lot from these KIPES. For example, Mr. Speaker, in pastoralist counties where livestock is a key value chain, we need to align our KIPES so that they reflect that. In areas where it's largely agricultural or cereal, then again, we can't have one design for all of them. So these are lessons, and I think we cannot claim to be perfect in all this. Then we have certain markets and other government projects that have been built but are not yet complete. Therefore, the Honorable Member was asking what we can do. I think this is where we were talking about working together with the counties, because more often than not, when we decide to build a market, we just look at the structure. We don't look at the sanitation. We don't look at the roads accessing there. We don't look at how far it is from the main road, because markets are also about convenience, and it is for that reason sometimes when you geographically misplace a market, people will leave that grand market and go to trade outside because the geography is not aligned. And those are the issues or lessons that we have learned. And Mr. Speaker, what we have encouraged our county governments and the Ministry of Lands is that we do a feasibility study before any market is placed to reduce chances of misalignment. Mr. Speaker, also there was a question from the Honorable Siongo on specific examples of cooperatives of circles that we have been able to connect across. So we have Gatanga Tea Factory has been visited by major tea buyers, Grammy Tea and Herbal Association from France, and they are producers of the Orthodox tea. And Mr. Speaker, one of the things I would want to mention specifically about these Orthodox teas is that Kenya is also positioning itself not just to do the traditional teas, but the high-value teas, and also to change the use of tea from merely being a beverage to also being a fine dining item. And to this effect, we will be launching some of these products during the French Africa Summit that will be held in Kenya from next week. And I think some of these issues will be also put across. We also have Vivo Activewear is now expanding apparel to the USA, and this has been facilitated through Keproba. So, and I was specifically answering the question of providing examples. Mr. Speaker, allow me to inform the Honorable Member that in the general area of Machakos, Makueni, and those regions, the mango pulp that comes from that region has been found to be very good. In fact, it has no comparison within the larger East and Central Africa. And talking with the major manufacturers and processors, we would want to have this region producing the mango pulp for Coca-Cola and others, and therefore our work is to try and see how we can work with the counties, increase productions, have the right varieties, and build linkages that can provide support to our farmers. I submit.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. We'll take the second set of questions. Senator Kinyo.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. My observation is this, Cabinet Secretary. I think from where you sit, you have an aerial view of what's happening in the whole country, but then you can map out, because many of our counties, we have become jack of all trades, but master of none. Would you, from where you sit, because you have, you can quickly see, you have data plus monitoring, you say which county is best for what. Like for example, like Kipia, we are best in beef production. Would we then have a situation like that where you classify these counties? Like for example, you go to Cuba. Cuba is known, and they know they are not producing anything, but they know their cash crop is exporting doctors. As in our country, you as a Cabinet Secretary, because you have an aerial view, what would you recommend? In your answering, Roman 3, you have indicated you are collaborating with the Housing, Department of Housing. Can you confirm, the Cabinet Secretary, that our housing levy fund is the money that is used to construct the markets? Thank you.
Senator Omtata Okoiti.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, thank you. Honorable Secretary, thank you for your presentation. My main concern is these Skypes that have come up in almost every county hardly have any feasibility studies. I've not seen a single feasibility study. I've tried to get one for Busia, the Cape in Busia, in Nasewa. No feasibility study. I've even tried to, there's also an industrial park there. I've tried to get a feasibility study for the industrial park. There's none. I've tried to get a spatial plan. There's none. I would have wanted to see a feasibility study whereby I'm able to gauge the viability of the project before public money is invested in. It's very good to talk about aggregation parks, to talk about this, to talk about all those things I've spoken about. But where there's no scientific study showing me that 1 + 1 equals equals to 3, as Professor says, 1 + 1 equals to 2, I find it difficult to follow your presentation because you have reduced this thing into a very academic exercise. When I go to Busia Cape, I've been there. What hits me is that what is this thing going to do? How is it, where is the ecosystem within which this Cape is going to work? We visited the Capes in Ethiopia and they had very clear thematic areas. They were not one size fits all. They were integrating regions in a very, very clear thematically organized park. When you looked at it, you would see like they're driving industrialization. You have got incentives such as in taxation, they have incentives, even in power provision to these positions. So I don't know, Honorable Senator.
Senator Tata, please put your question forward.
Yes, I'm coming there.
Avoid debating the issue.
I've laid the background. So I don't know whether we have any feasibility study for any of those Capes, and what is this, if there are any, what is the scope of those feasibility studies, especially in terms of what incentives do they give to the producers, and what incentives do they give to the investors, and how do they integrate the country as a whole in terms of pushing the industrialization project? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Nyutu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. My question to the CS, but before I ask the question, Mr. Speaker allowed me to also build a foundation on it. Mr. Speaker, I have seen very many market buildings coming up in Moraga, but most of them, and I can assure the CS, especially storied ones, are not in use because there is nobody to use them. So I want to join Senator Mtata in saying that if there is any feasibility study that is done, as the CS claims, then I think there is a gap somewhere because these structures just come up even when they are not needed. And Mr. Speaker, we have more needs. And I draw the CS's attention to the lower region of Murang'a, where we grow a lot of mangoes, Mr. Speaker. And the county has interventions, but it is not able to mop up all the mangoes that are produced. So exactly what is the ministry doing to see to it that it intervenes and supports the county government in mopping up mango production in Lower Murang'a, Mr. Speaker, the wards of Kakuzimi-Tubiri, Idhanga Ward, Makuyu Ward, Kambiti Ward, because the past season there were loads and loads of mangoes rotting along the roads. And Mr. Speaker, as he does that, he has mentioned something very important, that they are assisting in providing business advisory services, where they train on standards to, especially the common mwananchi. Do we have a structure? Because I've not seen anybody in Murang'a being trained on this. And Mr. CS, what are you doing to see to it that avocado farmers are assisted? The upper region of Murang'a, Kandara, Gatanga, Kigumo, Maragua, parts of Kiharu. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's my question.
Thank you, Senator Mandago.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my supplementary questions goes to the CS on the issue of KIPES. And maybe if you allow me, Honorable Speaker, to just say this question would have been comprehensively answered if the CS had honored the invitations and the summons of the Trade Committee. But I also want to inform him that we have fined him 500,000 and he should pay, and consequently also summon him to appear in the next session, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, this is because there are statements that have been pending from 2023, 2024, 2025, and the ministry has not responded to, and it touches on these KIPES. And on a general statement, Honorable Speaker, the rates of completion of these KIPES is actually worrying. In Kilifi, for example, when my committee visited, they just found there the contractor slashing the forests. In my own county, Honorable Speaker, first it was procured above the recommended amount of 500 million. It was procured at 535. The one in Wajir was procured at 601 million. 101 million above. So there are a lot of issues my committee, on behalf of the House, would want to process so that we can submit a comprehensive report. So my question to the CS is, he will not be able to comprehensively respond, but maybe you can tell us what is the status for the one for was in issue that had stalled, and yet national government had sent all the money. The contractor was paid. He has not been on site for a very long period of time. What is the ministry doing about it?
Thank you, Senator. Who are you trying to inform, Senator Kinyo?
The Senator.
Mandago, do you want to be informed?
Yes, he's a good neighbor.
Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary have been informed that the committee, he has not been attending the committee. He was summoned, and as we speak, he has been fined. Mr. Speaker, I don't know what's your guidance to the House, whether I think whether we can ask before the Cabinet Secretary leaves, he pays his fine. Otherwise, we look for Al-Sifuna and Karunga Wathango and Eddie, who are very good in dealing with those matters.
Senator Kinyo, that is a matter that will be handled by the substantive speaker when he comes to the House. Cabinet Secretary, please respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to respond on the further questions that have come. And I want to start with the Honorable Mtata. Whether we have feasibility studies, and if so, present one for Sebusia and the others. I want to confirm that there may be no elaborate feasibility studies that were done, but I think what is important is this. All of us, when we are doing our campaigns, we go across the whole country. We talk to communities. They tell us what they want. In this particular case, the president, during the run-up to the election, he met hundreds of people, including the Mama Mboga and other people. And one of the constant things that they asked was, give us dignity in our work, in markets, in the KIPE. So that is also a public participation and a feasibility study in terms of, does the market, does the community want, is it needed? And therefore, to that extent, when he got into office, again, we could not have spent another 3 years doing feasibility studies. Mr. Speaker, allow me to inform my good friend Omtata.
Senator Bonikalu, ideally we are not supposed to raise point of orders when the CS is responding. Go ahead, Senator Boni.
Mr. Speaker, because Parliament keeps record of everything, Hansard has been told that the minister went around with the president asking the people in the countryside what they wanted.
Let
Mr.
me,
Speaker,
let me stop you.
the
Let me
minister
stop
did
you.
not campaign with President William Ruto.
Let me
How was he there? He was
Let me-
campaigning with
let
Raila
me-
Odinga.
let me stop
He's
you, Boni
misleading the
Khalwale.
country.
Boni
Never-
Khalwale, maybe we heard differently, but the CS did not in any way mention that he accompanied the president in those visits. He said the president did. So let me just stop you there. You have no point of order. No, there is no need to be informing. CS, please proceed. But that's not what the CS said. What you said is not what the CS said. That's why I should actually find you out of order for raising a frivolous point of order. CS, please proceed.
So, Mr. Speaker, I was just trying to allude to the fact that sometimes nations bury themselves in big terms like feasibility and all those things, and we spend all our lifetime doing feasibility on what we already know. So is there unemployment? Yes. Do we need to create value and dignity to our people? Yes. And the people have spoken. So I think this is what you're trying to do. Just to draw an example, in the year 2002 when President Mwai Kibaki came to office, we implemented the free primary education. It was implemented on day one. We literally opened all the doors. I'm sure the Honorable Khalwale remembers, no feasibility was ever done. Was it a success? Yes. So I think let us also agree there are historical challenges we have had. And again, we may not want to go to the, spend money, take a lot of time is gone, it's time for action. And I think these KIPES, we agree they are not perfect, but we are on a journey to perfecting them. So that admission means that in our second batch, we'll be able to correct where we didn't do, maybe there was an omission. But again, we want to say that we don't want to bury ourselves in too many jargons while our people are suffering by the roadside. And, there's no sanitation, tomatoes by the roadside the whole day, by evening, they all go to waste. So I don't think we need a feasibility to confirm that potatoes or tomatoes will wither by the end of the day. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of incentives, I agree with the Honorable Member, Omtata, that indeed we are working with the counties to attract. Now, that's now how we get to Migori, Uasin Gishu, and all the others. So the county governments have an opportunity to create business forums, to showcase the opportunities that are there, what incentives are there, partner with the bank so that we can now have more value addition. In the western parts of the country, including Busia, Migori, and all the others, our idea was that in the East African market, we can be able to supply those markets using our KIPES in those particular parts of the country. So they were actually export-oriented, like the one in Busia. And just for information, in Busia we have the EPZ and also the KIPE, and they are both at the same place. So again, just trying to emphasize that we believe that the future of Kenya is also conquering regional markets that will be very useful for us. But I appreciate, and even as I say that we shouldn't be too academic, also to acknowledge that Omtata is known to me through his writing as a serious poet, and I salute him. We went through his poems when we were in intervention. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to go to Mr.
CS, let me inform. No, sorry, Senator Newton, no intervention. No intervention. Senator, Cabinet Secretary, you have 5 minutes, so please.
Thank you.
Go very quickly over the questions.
The Honorable Kinyua, I think the question of why don't we map out the whole country so that we don't end up doing industries everywhere, agriculture everywhere. I think there are some countries that can do well. Just for your information, certain countries such as China have taken like a whole province and said, this is where we get our potato, not just agriculture, one particular variety. Because it takes a bit of infrastructure, planning, aggregation, the extension officers to make sure that a particular commodity succeeds. So I think this is well in order. However, because the driving of the economic agenda of a county is a responsibility of the governors, this is where we really need to cooperate. So that when we say we want to have like 5 counties as key industrial centers, it doesn't mean the others are not important, but they can also do something else, including tourism and other issues. So I think it's best is to pick maybe 2 or 3 that are most useful and run away with them. Some counties have done very well in logistics. We can support them to become the logistical hub for the entire East and Central Africa. Then with respect to collaborating with the Ministry of Housing, yes, we are working with them. And although we are not the implementing ministry in terms of markets for housing, we work together for information, for citation of where the market will be built, and we continue to deal with emerging issues as and when they come. We consider markets to be an extension of the housing agenda, because when you build a house, those people will require some place to go and buy their vegetables. They will require some place to go and work. And if you just put people in houses without providing the necessary social infrastructure, you're actually creating ghettos, and these will be centers of crime. So it is necessary to provide associated services such as markets, social centers, nursery schools for the kids, and a bit of a dispensary. That is what we call an integrated living, including a basketball or place where they can play some sports. Otherwise, we will have high crime that we cannot be able to control, and this is part of that program. The Honorable Nyoto did mention about markets in Muranga, and some of them that may be empty. I think what I would really want to encourage all of us is that when you are making economic decisions, it may be necessary to remove a bit of the politics. And this is what I have in mind. So you find that a market is to be built in a particular place, but the citation of that market sometimes ends up not necessarily being an economic decision. It's more, leaders want it in this location, or this is where I come from. But the point is, a market is defined as where the buyers, the sellers, and the commodities are. So if you take the physical building outside those 3 parameters, then that will be a white elephant. So we need to work with what is already in existence. And that is why you find, like on your way to Nakuru, there's a place called Sokomjinga. There was no physical market, but there are buyers, there are sellers, and there was a commodity. So what the government is doing is just placing now the infrastructure so that they can get inside there. So we need to align to what the public want in citation of that. Mangoes from the lower parts of Muranga, I want to confirm, indeed that's true. And as I said, with respect